May the words of my lips and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Just a couple of things have occurred to me before I start with my sermon. For the few people who were here at 8 o'clock, I mentioned the Feast of the Transfiguration. I only just came to notice what a beautiful triptych of stained glass windows we have depicting that very same holy day. And as for the psalm, an alternate would be to read additional verses from Lamentations. And because we generally don't read the last 3 verses of Psalm 137, it's a shocker, but I don't know whether it's signed in full or not, because none of the prayer books, I'm sure, have the up-to-date readings in them. I read that as it may. I will begin here. A raccoon who sauntered by is a bit over the place. A rat, which is the same. An owl in a tree in the rear property. 2 cats who appear together. A coyote who strode down the center of my street with a creature in its jaws. Various dogs, leashed or not, who leave an impression on my grounds. Various rabbits who pop up, including ones appearing 10. A woodchuck who stared at me. A bird who fed her fledglings in my birdhouse. Another raccoon who waited patiently for traffic to cease and then walked across Broadway and up the steep stairs as if going home after work. And most recently, a young skunk. Now, to not fail to mention the cat and the rabbit and others who expired in my driveway and lawn, respectively. And a hawk that I found in the gutter around the corner. And this is in crowded and busy Somerville, which definitely has no beautiful ponds, as some lucky people do. Long ago, I can't remember for what reason, I wrote a sermon on the rights of animals. This is not that sermon. In fact, it has no right to be called a sermon. Let's call it a string of paragraphs inspired to lead to deduction. Nevertheless, let us look at the Holy Scriptures. Anyway, a month ago, in one of my regiments of daily prayer, it called for the reading of the book of Tobit, which is not scripture precisely for us, but can be read in the divine service. Tobit orders his son Tobiah to go to their ancestral village and plan a relative for his wife. He has first dibs, you see. Dating apps favoring him. The angel Raphael appears to lead the journey. We consider him Raphael, the archangel now, alongside Michael and Gabriel. Strangely enough, an unnamed dog follows them all the way. And if you were here last week, you may remember that poor Lazarus would have his sores licked by dogs as he lay at the gates of the rich man. The Syrophoenician woman procured a healing out of Jesus by comparing herself to dogs who will eat the crumbs beneath their master's table. We see that retort reflected in what we call the prayer of humble access, which we used at the 8 o'clock. And all praise to the donkey, or in the case of St. Matthew's Gospel, the donkey and the colt that transported Jesus as he entered Jerusalem before his passion. One Palm Sunday, I was at St. Peter's in Cambridge when they hired a donkey to lead the procession of palms towards Central Square. I learned then that donkeys, or at least some of them, can have a large imprint of a black cross on their backs. That ass, as the old Bible called it, absolutely would not take a step until they cleared its path of branches of palm that the congregation had laid down in concert with the gospel story. I was one intelligent donkey. Much like Balaam's ass in the book of Numbers, who would not budge when the path was dangerous. He got a beating for its wisdom. Whereupon he spoke up like a human being and gave its master a few choice words. Since, like so many people I knew, he passed away a few years ago, I still remember my fellow seminarian, William Pegram Johnson III of Petersburg, Virginia, whose wife would not let him name their son Marmaduke, an old family name, and who himself, the son I mean, is a priest now too. The lesson at morning prayer one day in chapel had us hearing St. Paul advise one of his congregations to pay the preacher well, because the laborer was worthy of his hire. And besides, to corroborate, Paul says, the Torah says, thou shalt not muzzle the ox when it is treading the field. And Paul asks in his letter, does God care for oxen? Of course not. Pegram, as in more recent decades he preferred to be called, turned to me and loudly whispered, of course God does. That reminds me of the time at Filings, my second profession, when I was talking with the manager at a table. And we were discussing on Sundays, which the state, by referendum, had legalized closely. I decided to recite there the long commandment among the 10 about observing the Sabbath. The part that impressed them was where it says that, like everyone else in the village, cattle must rest too. The manager gripped earnestly. Does that mean my turtle cannot work on Sunday? It's seminary again. In Gospel Pegram, God rest his soul. and others living and dead, we study moral theology, which teaches that animals do not have souls, and therefore do not need preaching to. The professor offered his own opinion that if we could prove that lower animals, so-called, communicated to each other, I don't remember the precise wording or conditions, then we could baptize them. And I said in that sermon I wrote in 1982, well, if animals do not have a soul, theoretically, to preserve for an afterlife, is it not incumbent on us to be sure that we make the one life they do have as pleasant as possible? But ideas and doctrines change. I've been reminded, watching one of my niece's children grow up, that teenagers can say the most shocking things. One of hers at that age gladly exclaimed once, "I do not like animals." 10 years later, she is raising with her partner a huge, lovable Great Dane. And about 15 years ago, I attended Mass at this time St. Peter's Roman Catholic Church, again in Cambridge. The plump pastor sat himself on a big cushy chair, called the boys and girls forward to sit at his feet, and read them a story titled, "All Dogs Go to Heaven." Afterwards, he took questions, and one girl at least raised her hand and queried, "What about my cat?" When it came to a question about a goldfish, he entered the discussion. Dogs appear in the Bible, but not domestic cats. My conjecture is that the Hebrews were resenting their time in Egypt, where cats were revered. I once saw a delightful film for Istanbul on Netflix about the street cats there. One of them strolls into the fishmonger's, who playfully holds up different pieces from his beautiful showcase for the cat's approval, and eventually drops a nice chunk at his feet. When I wrote that sermon long ago, I never dreamed that someday churches would enjoy a day for the blessing of animals. Maybe I was a budding prophet. Since the pandemic kept us in our homes, I've been watching videos of services in our diocese, mostly. One or more did have blessings last Sunday. In fact, WBZ Radio said there's one at Christ Church, aka Old North in Boston today. The sermon I gave way back was in commemoration of Earth Day, rather fresh at that time, at the end of April. But the church for centuries has kept the Rogation Days in May to celebrate Earth and the start of planting. Mrs. Cecil Frances Alexander's hymn, All Things Bright and Beautiful, that she published in 1848 for the use of young children, is very popular. We sang it in Weymouth, where I preached last spring, which reminds me that it mentions each little bird that sings. And that calls to mind a book I read called Birding in Babylon, which was written by one of our soldiers, a sergeant, I think, who was in the Iraq War. A husband and father, I think from Connecticut, under his blow idea. But he had the stamina to write about the birds in Iraq, ancient Babylon, which are admired by the bulk of the population. So what a shame that these so-called higher animals can wreak such destruction on planet Earth. Services of blessing of animals occurred near the feast of St. Francis of Assisi, which is on October 4th. There is a hymn opposite Mrs. Alexander's that identifies Francis definitely as the author. In fact, tune was written for it and is labeled Assisi. But never have I ever heard it sung since we began using the Blue Hymnal in 1988 or so. But I must remind you that there is more to Francis than animals. He loved people, he loved the poor, and he loved the church. He espoused a simple way of life. We're in Chicago, Valley, a Capuchin Franciscan, which was founded as a Reformed branch. It is his oldest rule that, for one thing, at least, they should not wear more than 3 articles of clothing. And one of Francis's very early followers, the popular preacher St. Anthony of Padua, that we are encouraged to call St. Anthony of Lisbon and Padua now, has legends of his own about his biography concerning his ability to commune with animals. So, let me end. Remembering Francis's love for those brothers and sisters who are not of our particular species. We thank God for letting us share with all the creatures.